This video we are on converting fractions, decimals, and percentages. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to convert between percentages, decimals, and fractions, and you'll also be able to compare percentages, decimals, and fractions. Okay, so the symbol percent means percent, and it means out of 100. So for example, 23% means 23 out of 100. We could write it as a fraction, so 23 over 100, or we could write it as a decimal, so 0.23. So just remember, when we're writing things as decimals, 1 will equal 100% and 0.01 will equal 1%. Okay, so some key ideas converting from percentage to a fraction. So if we're doing this, there's a few steps we have to follow. So to convert a percentage to a fraction, the first thing we have to do is change the percentage sign to a denominator of 100, and then we have to simplify the fraction if we can. So for instance, change 35% to a fraction. So we start off with 35%. Step 1 is to change the percent side to a denominator of 100. There we go. So that's what we're doing. So 35 over 100. So 35% equals 35 over 100. We can then simplify that fraction. So we can divide both of those by 5, for instance. So 35 divided by 5 will give me 7. 100 divided by 5 will give me 20. And that would be my answer there. So 35% as a fraction would be 7 over 20. Okay, so converting percentages to decimals. So to convert a percentage to a decimal, all you have to do is divide by 100. So that just means moving the decimal point 2 places to the left. So 46% to a decimal means 46 divided by 100, and that equals 0.46. So I've just moved that decimal place 2 spots to the left. Okay, fraction to a percentage. So to convert a fraction to a percentage, all you have to do is multiply by 100. So to change 1 over 5 to a percentage, we just do 1 over 5 times 100. So you can type that into your calculator if you want to. So all you'd have to type in is 1 divided by 5, because remember that's what our fraction kind of is there. So 1 divided by 5 times by 100 will give you 20%. And that would be your answer there. Okay, so to convert a decimal to a percentage, you have to multiply by 100. So just move your decimal place 2 places to the right. So kind of the opposite of what we were doing before. So 0.815 to a percent. So that's 0.815 multiplied by 100, 81.5%. And that would be your answer. Okay, so just some common percentages, fractions, and decimals here for you to have a look at. These you'll use a lot of the time. So 50% is 1/2, which is 0.5. 33% is 0.3, 1/3. Obviously, this is 0.3 reoccurring. 25% is 0.25, 1/4. 20% is 0.2, 1/5. 12% is 0.125 or 1/8. 66% is 0.6 reoccurring or 2/3, and 75% is 0.75 or 3/4. Okay, so let's just do some worked examples here. So the first one, I'm going to express 0.45 as a percentage. So for the first one, 0.45 as a percentage, all we have to do, remember, is multiply by 100. So that equals, oh, sorry, that should not be across the page, that should be down below. I'll set that out properly. So that will equal 45% for our first one there. For B, express 25% as a decimal. So 25%, all we have to do is divide 25% by 100, and that will equal 0.25. There we go. Okay, so for C, we've got a little bit of a tricky one here. We've got 3 1/4% as a fraction. Okay, so there's a few ways you can do this. One way is obviously you have to divide by 100. So 3 1/4% divided by 100. So we'll just turn that into an improper fraction. So that's 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13. So that's 13 over 4 divided by 100, and obviously that means 100 over 1. So when we're dividing fractions, hopefully you remember you have to do you turn it into multiplication and do the reciprocal. So that will be times 1 over 100. 13 times 1 is 13. 4 times 100 is 400, so it'd be 13 over 400. We can't actually simplify that anymore, so we'll just leave that answer as is. Okay, so some more worked examples here. Sorry, a train went past. I had to restart. So for A, we're going to convert 745% to a decimal. So we just have to divide 745 divided by 100. So shift our decimal place, 7.45. So you can see there it's greater than 1, but that's because we started off with a number that was more than 100%. Okay, so for B, we're converting 3% to a decimal. So 3%, all we have to do then is do 3 divided by 100, move our decimal place, 0.03. It's as easy as that. For C, convert 160% to a fraction or mixed number. So we'll remember all we have to do is we have to drop the percentage sign and turn it into a denominator of 100. Then we can look at that and we can know, oh, 160 is bigger than 100, so we're going to turn that into a mixed number. How many hundreds are in 160? Well, there's 1 with 60 left over, so it's 60 over 100. We're going to have to simplify that. I've run out of space, so I'll just move it up over here. And we can divide by 20, so that'll be 3 over 5, so 1 3/5. Okay, so for D, we've got convert 12.5% to a fraction, so 12.5%. So if we turn that into a fraction, oh, what happened then? We've got 12 1/2. So we're going to turn that into a mixed number then, so that we can divide by 100. So divide by 100. So to turn that into a mixed number, we're going to multiply our denominator by that whole number, so 2 times 12, and then add our numerator. So 2 times 12 is 24, plus 1 is 25. So we've got 25 over 2 divided by 100, and 100 is the same as 100 over 1. So hopefully you remember that when we're dividing fractions, we actually turn the division sign into a multiplication and do the reciprocal for our second fraction. So it's 25 divided by 2 times 1 over 100. I've run out of space, so I'm going to move over here, but you would just continue down the page. 25 times 1 is 25, 100 times 2 is 200, and then I can just simplify that fraction, so I can divide both by 25. So 25 divided by 25 is 1, 200 divided by 25 is 8, so it's 1/8. And you can use your calculator to check that answer, turn that into a decimal, and then turn it into a percentage, and you'll get that same answer. Okay, our last one, E, which is smaller, 3/5 or 65 over 100. So there's two ways you can do this. You can either turn the 3/5 into a percentage or the 65 into a fraction. I'll show you both. So 3/5 into a percentage is 3 divided by 5 times 100 will give you a percentage. So 3 divided by 5 times 100 is 60%. So there we go. So our 3/5 would be smaller. Or you can change the 65% to a fraction, it's up to you. So you do 65, drop the percent, turn it into a denominator of 100, and we could divide both of those by 5. So 65 divided by 5 will give me 13. 100 divided by 5 will give me 20. Then obviously I'll have to change my other fraction, 3/5, so that I can compare fractions. So to change the denominator into 20, I'm going to have to multiply by 4 and multiply the 3 by 4, and that will be 12 over 20. So therefore, either way, we'll still get 3/5 is going to be our smaller fraction. And that's all I've got for today's video.